Welcome back to another episode of the pod, man. Good to have you guys listening in to the Rising Kings podcast. Special guest this week. For those who have been following the Rising Kings podcast journey over the years, you will recognize this calm, beautiful voice you're about to hear. But today I've got none other than my brother from another mother, Dino Biordi, on, man. So good to have you here, bro.
Thank you, dude. It's been far too long. I remember the days we used to hit record in Kalara. Back of the boot sometimes, Manly Beach.
Straight off the back of a workout, remember? We just fire it up in the back of your truck. How are you, man?
I'm good, dude. I'm good. And, we probably didn't see each other much over, I would say probably a couple of years. We kept connected, but not as much as we used to, which we basically used to be in each other's bedrooms.
Yeah.
I remember.
We were hanging out a lot.
Yeah.
I miss those days, dude.
Well, I mean, most people would say, surely they're gay.
Well, two good-looking roosters.
Clean looking.
Clean.
Yeah, jacked.
Ripped. Living the dream.
Yeah.
Living the dream. And so, mate, the years, water has passed under the bridge. Lots has happened. And here we are today, reconnected. You're the bearded warrior. You got the beads. You still got the muscles. You're well.
I'm good. I would say maybe 3 months of good.
Yeah.
At best. So first of all, bro, what's going on here? Look at this setup. You've really turned it on with the podcast world. I'm really honored to be here. Just checking out your equipment and also your spark. You talked about me having a calm voice. You just turn it on as soon as you hit record, you're just like, boom, I'm alive. I love that about you, brother. So, I never change. It really brings me out, brings the best out of me. So, I've always been described as a positive man, someone that brings light to a room, got a strong horizon around me. And, I'm always interested in people, always interested in how I can add value in people's world and in any environment, right? How can I, there's a moment to be had here. How do I bring out the best in it? And that's just how I've lived my philosophy. I've been in a lot of, Eastern philosophy for most of my life, actually. Quarter of a century I worked out. I've been doing some sort of Buddhist practice of meditation and insight and the Eastern philosophy world. But yeah, so I'm the glass half full type of guy. The guy that sort of, people maybe took me wrong at times. The people had to check in with my friends or family to say, is this guy for real? Is this what he's like at home? Behind closed doors, what's he really like?
Yeah, how does a man be that happy, connected and loving 24/7? But it's true, man. I've known you for a relatively long time, short time, I guess, over the span of a life. But man, we have spent a lot of time together. And that's what I love about you, brother. It's rare to meet another guy who has that much, positive, loving energy, man. It flows out of you. So I think it's awesome. And that, like you said, it's not just something that you switched on. It's 25 years of work as you've cut through the layers.
Yeah,
and it brings us here.
Yeah, you've stolen my punchline though, dude. It's all through love. It's really, my practice is, where's my heart? What's my heart say? Who actually am I? And it's through this practice of, the internal journey and connecting with my heart that's allowed me to really not, okay, yes, there's fear, but not be as fearful, to be open, be vulnerable, be okay to be wrong, have that real genuine curiosity of life. And that's all through the heart, through love. Love is not just in relationship, and it's very important that I I'm in relationship, and that's with friends and family and partner, and a chosen one. But also in ourselves, love relationship with myself and who I am and what I'm carving out. What difference am I making in the world and what legacy would I leave? But also with nature, how can I connect with my heart, which I believe is the closest route to nature, to what is. Nature in its entire form, like unity, not it's like it's separate from us, but we are part of nature. We are it. And so it really helps me find my soul, allows my soul to be nourished. It allows me to speak truth as best I can in any moment, and really look into people and find out what they're like and find out what their world is like. And so that some people call it an intensity, but it's really presence. That presence is quite infectious, and I found that I've able to build close friends and real meaningful relationships as things that really fulfill me, things that make a life worth living. And that's why I stick to the path. That's why I'm here and really proud of who I am today. And that path led me to some massive pain recently. And this is someone that's really not seen the dark side, I've never actually walked until recently the dark night of the soul. Yeah. I've always tried to understand people with depression, pessimism, suicidal thoughts. I really tried to connect with them and truly understand, with just honesty and really connect with what they're going through. And I could say with my best ability, I tried, but I never really knew what it was like. Never. And it was only, I'd say, in the past 8 months that I actually went down this journey myself. And it's dark. It's dark. And when you are in it, it's kind of like I feel like it switches your survival mechanism. Like I really felt like I was being chased by a lion. The old saying that it just felt like I was in fear, flight, or freeze. Like
the whole time.
Yeah. It was unbelievable. It was something that I have complete reverence for. Not because I want to push it away, but knowing my human capabilities, what the body is capable of bringing me into. And I had no control. I was just like, whoa. Yeah, so I guess, you talked about something earlier on, and here I am talking about, straight into, something that really, I would say, would be the biggest moment of my life.
Wow.
Yeah. It's whether it was serendipitous, whether it was, sometimes I feel like nature does things to see if you are prepared, to see if you got the tools. As much as I don't like the idea of it, nature has its own ideas, and upon reflection, there is silver linings. And it really took, I had to take a lot away from it. Really, the only way I could describe it is that I was reduced to pulp, literally nothingness, no gravity, no center. I just felt like I was nothing but a pile of dust waiting for the next gust to blow me away.
Man.
Yeah.
And so 25 years of working on yourself, even though things, as you said, man, like life's been beautiful to you, amazing. Granted, you've had your challenges and stuff along the way, and then hit by pretty big hit in these last 8
Freight
months. Freight train.
Unstoppable freight train.
Yeah. Fully out of your control, fully unpredicted and unprecedented. Like wasn't even a gradual, hey, I can see this thing's coming, I'll deal with it when it comes. It was just like an instantaneous whack. The work, though, has enabled you, what I've seen, to move through that darkness. I don't like to use the term fast, but you've moved through this challenging patch where I do believe a lot of people would get stuck, would dwell on, would sit in the darkness for weeks, months, years. Some people never make it out of it. Like it does become a defining moment because all of a sudden 5 years later, they're still dwelling in that hole. Whereas you've come out of it, I think, stronger, more liberated. You've been gifted something that maybe your soul has been desired to have, which is, this openness of love and freedom. And here you are, man, like sitting here 8 months on, smiling, beard, beads, shiny eyes.
In Eastern philosophy, they call it the Dharma, your Dharma.
Yeah.
The soul's contract to come to life and experience it. While it's not important to know what it is that took me there, we can save that for maybe another podcast. We can go through it here. It's up to you.
Yeah, we'll keep them on the edge. We'll reveal all later.
What's important to know is I spent a lot of time building an identity, something I was proud of, and that's mainly around being the best, husband in the world, being the best dad in the world, and just having family as the number one priority in my life. Like everything else was a far second. Like just nothing came close. When it had to do with my family, it was just like, how quickly do you want me to do this? Like, I'm there, I'm all in. That's how I designed my life. Whether it's from conditioning, hereditary, my soul purpose, family was just it for me. It gave me life. It gave me the drive, the fire in my belly, the 1 rep max, the next push around the corner. Like, it's just family. It's just my priority. And when that was disturbed, when something was ripped out of me, with the way which was done, which was nonsensical. It was it's kind of like a psychedelic trip. It was kind of like a nightmare you don't wake up from. When you have such a strong identity around this, like, I am this family guy, I am this husband, and when that's ripped from you, it really does feel like the identity you've built all the 46 years that I've been alive is just dissipated. It's just gone. Just vamos.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what? And so I don't know if, the different types of practices or more practicing of different ways of, understanding what it means to be in such a moment in time. But what I can, in response to your question there, brother, is that what I can tell you is the practice led me to evolve quicker in that reduction, in that not knowing who I am, not knowing, it's just, chaos is not even the right word. In chaos, at least there's some direction.
Yeah.
It's worse than chaos. There's no direction. And I want to add a couple of things other than my practice here that help me evolve and get out of this sooner. And that is the importance of what I realized sooner rather than later is how important it is to have someone around you physically. not on the phone, not a text message, but someone physically next to you. Because it was when people weren't physically next to me, people that, that I knew well, that there was love there, that I could trust, I just had suicidal thoughts. I was just like, no one cares. Who cares? No one. Might as well. It's easy, painless, less pain. And so these thoughts are like, what am I? And then you come out of it and you're like, what am I saying here? What's going on here? And so, I made that call to a close friend. I made that call. I need someone next to me. And that eventually transpired to a family member, and then it transpired to my daughters, ensuring that they're always next to me. And it was the help from a lot of my practices that I put involved, a lot of the deep, I would say everything from putting myself in hardship, preparing myself to die, visualizing this stuff, meditation, forming very strict habits around how to be a better person, how to be present, how to transcend a moment. I knew these things, but when you're in it, it is a different world. It's like, where's the light? There's no light here. And so, although I had all that background, I do feel like a physical presence helped me, and everyone's different, but a physical presence reminding me that I'm a valuable member.
Yeah.
That there is love, love for yourself. Just remembering of other aspects of my life. It wasn't just family. You're not just a family guy, dude.
Yeah.
You're a friend guy. You're a member of. You're a leader in your business. You contribute in many ways in the world, and also people reminded me and feeling appreciated for who I was, not what I was doing. So people just reminding me of who I was, and through that process of, it did take months. This wasn't an overnight thing. Through the practice of what I would call not trying to circumvent this, not trying to use a spiritual practice to avoid the feeling I'm going through, but rather find my own light. How do I start with just a spark in my bed, just a spark today? What is it that make me smile today? Just that spark. Okay, that's enough for today. How can I? What are the ingredients? What dry leaves can I add to this to try and get this spark into a flame, and then to a brighter flame, and then back into a fire again, so I can start seeing, oh my God, light again, and start actually seeing the world as I used to. It was a friggin' tough journey. I don't want to underestimate. I know you started there. It was quick evolution, but when you're in it, it is not quick. Every day, every hour hurts. It's pain. It's I would say almost unbearable. Like when you're talking about you want to check out, that's what you call almost unbearable. It's no joke.
Brother, man, thank you for sharing. Like, the thing is, too, having known you for so long as that original identity you mentioned, the positive, like that's what drew me towards you when we first connected and met through training at CrossFit, was just your beaming love, energy, inspiration, joy, happiness, always, like for me, like I always, anytime I was around you, man, like I felt like I left a better soul, like a better version. And so when, like I was flabbergasted, man, when you hit a point where, when we caught up and, you opened up with your vulnerability and shared, and I was like, phew, like for that to happen, like this is big. This is big.
Thank you for being there as well, dude. You didn't realize how much it meant to me for me to jump in my car and drive over and tell you that. It just was
it was an honor, and to be there, and these experiences, while they're extremely challenging, they also, I think, have the opportunity to bring people closer. Like, it brought me, I feel, even closer to you, to go, hey, this guy is actually human. Like, this guy does bleed. This guy does, is going through a very challenging period. And how does one show up to support? And what I wanted to touch on here, just through this conversation, man, is like you mentioned there around identity. And I think, what you've been through, and not taking away from that, and at the same time thinking about a lot of men out there who do get stuck, lost, broken, fall into a dark period of life, like the dark moment of the soul. Maybe it's not to do with identity around, fatherhood and marriage, but a lot of guys just getting attached to who they are in business. And then when the business doesn't go, or they don't get the accolades they think they deserve, etc., and they fall into that identity trap, and all of a sudden that identity is stripped away, they do fall into the trap of darkness. Who am I? Why am I even here? How do I exist? And a lot of it does hinge on, the financial realm of it all. And I'm just curious, man, as you've been through the process, the dark night of the soul, you've been through this, how important is it around understanding yourself, and not having an attachment to some level of identity? Like, what have you learned from it?
Yeah, good question. Well, identity is a tricky subject, and I'd like to approach it a little bit differently, because I do have a little bit more wisdom today than I did in the past. So I think it's important to take a bigger perspective on why there is such a thing called identity. It's mainly to do with your social aspect, a social pressure. What does it mean to be a successful man? You got to be the provider. You got to look good. You got to have a successful business. You got to have the cars. You got to have the chicks. You got to have the good marriage. Whatever it is, it's social. It's actually social. Most of it, I would say, yes, depending on where you're brought up. A lot of this identity that we form is around your parents. You form this as you grow up, as a toddler and teenage years, and moving into manhood. Although a lot of men these days are still boys, but no knock on any of the men out there. But I had to go through my own transition from the boyhood to manhood, and I did that in my 20s, deep in my 20s. And so it's important to form identity. Don't get me wrong. We just got to understand where we got the information from. What was the story we told ourselves that we had to be a certain way? What book did we read? Were we inspired by Arnold Schwarzenegger, Running Man, Commando? Definitely. Yeah. Sylvester Stallone in First Blood. Yeah, I was. The identity is important because what it does for us, for our sort of prefrontal cortex, is it really gives us this facade. This I believe it's a fallacy that we have actually control. And so what it does is that we go, I can control this. So, this is who I want to be. Here's the plan, here's the journey. I'll just stick to this and I'll get there. All right. And this is the identity thing, right? And that's why there's such thing as an identity crisis, because what happens is they have all the things that they want. Either they don't or they do, but they still hit the same wall, is they have a midlife crisis. Who actually am I? Am I a product of my mum and dad, my schooling, my friends, my upbringing? Have I actually closed my eyes and gone inwards and find out actually what am I?
So not who am I?
What am I?
What am I?
Right? These are deeper sort of deeper questions that I would say that through some type of Eastern practice, if you latch onto an Eastern practice, doesn't matter what type of philosophy you follow, these are bigger questions that you ask. So I'm a big fan of Ram Dass, and Ram Dass is someone who clinged onto identity. I mean, he became known as the psychedelic guy of Renaissance, and he moved. There was a whole movement of people not going to work and taking drugs in the streets in America, so much so that they banned the drug.
What was the drug of choice?
Mushrooms.
Mushies.
There was acid there, psilocybin, yeah. But there was also acids involved in that. But yeah, Richard, I've forgotten his last name, was his original name. But yeah, so Ram Dass, he said something that really rings true to me, and that's, I think, important, that it's okay to build identity. It's okay to do the work to build identity. There's no wrong in this. As long as at some point you look to break all that down. You look at removing all the stories, removing all the identities you built up. Because what actually happens is that you're peeling back the onion to get to your core, to find out who you truly are. And in that journey of really going back into yourself, what you realize is, oh, that's right, I actually have no control here. What I can be here is someone who has a rudder, who has decided to point the rudder in a certain direction, but the rudder's not going to go straight. You're going to be someone who is going to be more open to letting go to certain outcomes, wanting something. So you're allowed to be attached, not attached, but more something's charming to you. As you go, oh, I'm charmed to move a certain way. I have a desire to move a certain way, but you're no longer attached to the outcome. Yeah. So you surrender to the work. So this is the type of identity that's healthy. So you go through the journey of going inwards, understanding how to connect with your heart. Through connecting with your heart, you have a deeper insight of what you are. It'll communicate. Your soul is a lot older than you. It's many lifetimes older than you. So when you connect to your heart and your soul, it'll communicate with you, and desires will arise. And so through this practice of any type of Eastern meditation, say, visualization, understanding knowledge, is a practice of really knowing oneself, the real identity, right? And what I've found is that the problem with identity is that we are individualizing ourselves when it's actually the opposite is true. We are actually all one. And so this culture is all about who I am, what I'm doing. I'm me, I'm separate from the world, you're over there. But the Eastern philosophy tells you to remove all that, go back in, and just remember we're all brothers and sisters here. We're all one. We're all part of nature. The cosmos. We're a drop of the cosmos. Is actually all in us. We've got the remnants of the sun within us. That's actually science. This is not a Eastern philosophy. There's remnants of literally our solar system within us. Metals. It's diabolical.
How does one function in society, in the world, at a high level? Like, you're a high performer, man. Because how does a man do that? Like, perform well, business, health, training, fitness, still have the desires, still have the inspirations, still have the goals, still have the ambitions, and at the same time, the practice of the letting go, without just breaking down, like you said there before, where it's like, oh man, I'll just quit my job. I'll just pack up. I'll just go and live in the bush. I don't want to be anyone. I have no identity, etc. Where's where have you found has been the balance in that? Because you're still a very driven man. That's what I love about you, brother. Like, you're not the guy who's just going, I've just packed up everything, mate. I sit at home and wait for my dole check to come through and,
I'm starting a new business.
Dumpster diving and
I'm starting another business. It's not enough on my plate.
Yeah.
I've got to do more.
So what have you learned about yourself through this process of the almost working towards a balance of the drive, the inspiration? Hey, I want to have these in my life. I want to inspire my daughters, my children. I want to inspire others. I show up, I do my CrossFit, I train. I want to look good. I want to feel good. I'm there to build a business that is perceived as successful because I want to give other people jobs and money, etc. And at the same time, removing those barriers like you talked about to going, well, what am I here? Like what is this soul that sits underneath that is talking more about love? How does a man navigate that world, man? Because I think a lot of the beauty in this, and I say it with a smile, is, when I think about myself and I think about a lot of men similar, we're either 0 or 100. It's like, it's easy to go, hey man, I just want to be the guy who just is driven, get stuff done, forget about the personal development path and the inner workings and all that sort of stuff. Or the other end of the spectrum, which is like, I'll just quit everything that is here within society norms and I'll just go and be a vagabond living out in the bush. And it's like, I'll just be one end of the spectrum, but there is magic. I do believe there's harmony found in the middle. And I'm just curious how you've found your way through that and how you navigate that now on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so two answers. The short one is it's living with no attachment. That's the shortest answer I can give you. It's just literally living. There's everything the same with non-attachment. But the second and the longer answer is to have a sense of non-attachment is actually not easy.
Yeah.
Simple. Simple to understand, and you might have it in moments, right? I'm not attached to the outcome. What do I need to apply here? Some patience.
So you have a desire, right?
Desired
outcome.
A charm, yep.
We're just not attached to one, how it's going to
time
become.
Frame. So the time it takes, what the outcome is, whether it comes or not.
Yeah.
It's really trusting in nature of the outcome.
Yeah.
So what happens is, there's a lot to break down here, Brother Ben, because what happens is, if you're not really, first of all, right, desire, the first thing is desire, right? Is it actually a desire, or is it something that you just, someone influenced you?
Yes.
So I always go back to, is it a real desire? Is it actually what
like
you
a
want?
soul desire versus
correct.
Just oh man, I need the Lamborghini because
that's right.
That's going to make me look cool, and it's a different level of desire to what is the deepest part of you actually want.
So there is this is why I think not only do we all come through a female in the world, there's the only way is through the vagina, right? That's the only way anyone comes into this world. And that's why I think women are the most important things. And they're goddesses, right? Females are it.
Yeah.
It's, if we understand that, where was I going with this, Brother Ben? Remind me.
Around desires.
Oh, yeah.
Deeper desires.
Deeper desires. That's right. So, yeah, I forgot I was going with that quote. It's so important. I was going to give you that quote because you say, look, what I was trying to get at, the second part of what I was trying to get at, because it was a segue to get there, but we need to understand what practices we have. Oh, this is what I was going to say. Thank you. I'll say it just so I can come back to it. Intuition. They are the best at it. That's where I was going here. They are goddesses, and what they do really well is they have intuition. Most women have good intuition, and actually most men try to knock it out of them, and that's poor form on our part. Women actually have a natural ability to have a sense of things, an energy, a feeling, premonition. That's honorable. We respect it and we listen to it. It's not always right, but mostly is, and it's there for a reason. It's there because they don't have the physical ability to look after themselves. It's innate in them. And what I would say is that men actually have it too. It's just that we don't practice it because it's for women. Men don't have intuition. We don't need it, right?
We face
It's like, what is that? Yeah, logic.
The brain,
so
the mind.
Where I was going with that statement earlier was that men need to build an intuition practice into their life. And that is meditation, reflection, breath work. How do we get to homeostasis? How do we actually connect with our heart? Because that process there will help us really know what our desires are. We will start to understand or listen to the soul's voice. We all have it. I put a post on Instagram the other day, the good wolf and the bad wolf, right?
Yeah.
We all have a voice in our head, right? That's the brain, but then we can get deeper and deeper with that saying. There's still good wolf and bad wolf, right? But there's a deeper level of us. It's our soul speaking to us.
What do you think stops us, man? What stops us, when I say us, men our age, we've worked heavily on ourselves to become more aware and consistently work on ourselves to tap into that intuition. Why aren't more of us doing it? Like this is a question that keeps me awake at night, man. I'm like, why is this looked on, one, so hard, and two, why is it just kind of pushed to the side? Like, is it hard? Is it fear? Like, what have you learned?
Yeah, so a few answers here, Brother Ben. I'll make a statement first. The scary part is it used to be just men, but now it's moved into generations. So it used to be the men not having time for it, but now it's actually generational. Like kids don't have time for it. It's around what I believe the first layer is just distraction. We're constantly, there is so much good stuff out there that we can just get a dopamine hit from real quick. Social media, the internet, just real quick fixes. Food's just in the fridge, home delivery. No one even cooks anymore. Like literally, no one even cooks anymore. Family over for dinner and someone cooking, I got to go. 2 generations back, and it has to be a foreigner to work. They have a real big someone coming together as a family. It really needs to be a Christmas time. It's like we've lost a lot of the real connection. What actually means to be human. I actually believe we actually put on this earth to make connection. That's actually my philosophy. That's not from anybody. I actually believe that face-to-face interaction, to hug another person, heart to heart, is the game. And then the next step is, can I have a deep conversation with this person and understand their world? What wisdom can we both impart with? That's just magic. So we what happens is the same chemical reactions happen in our body, but with doing this, social media and stuff. So now it's generational. And the other thing is I do believe that people generally, intuition comes from connecting with your heart. And I really do believe men struggle with this because they see it as a weakness. They see that toughness is where you need to be. And it's just a lack of understanding of what it means to be a man. Like, what does it mean to be a warrior? To go out killing people, or to defend what your beliefs are, defend your family. And that comes from the heart. That's what a will warrior does. And I would say that a lot of men struggle with connecting with their heart because of judgment. There's fear around being wrong about themselves, fear around identity, being crushed. When one connects with their heart, there is a lot of emotions that arise. And men, I don't want to do that. I don't want to deal with crying right now. Who wants to cry? But I've been told time and time again by females that I look up to and hold close to me, that there's nothing more than they see more attractive than a man crying, a man showing his emotions,
Yeah.
being truthful, letting it out, going through the ring of fire. That's actually where it is at. And that's the problem with men. They think it's a weakness. And I've been someone who, I know I do this myself, right? So I'll go out and seek pain to avoid certain emotions. I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to think about this right now. Let's go do a CrossFit workout. Let's go find the pain hole. And it actually works. The emotion goes away. Great, fantastic. But as we all know, the body holds memory.
Yeah.
And it holds, everyone's heard of muscle memory. It holds emotions. And what happens is, if you don't have a good meditation practice, especially, I'll plug my friends in Vedic meditation, especially Vedic meditation where you don't have a good practice where you can unstress that emotion. That's bucketed for later. You're going to deal with it someday. And it might come out in an explosion. It might come out in some sort of breakdown. But if you incorporate a daily practice, you're able to deal with those set of emotions, which a lot of men don't like doing.
Yeah. How much of it relates back to an individual understanding himself? Like my take on all of this is the more a man understands himself, who he is, his values, what he's here to do, his purpose, his limitations, his strengths, his weaknesses, and accepting of all of that, it provides him the opportunity to be more open, more aware, more connected. He's not afraid to show his true feelings. And that becomes a power. And of all the men I've connected with and known, the men who have the real authentic confidence, not the ego, bravado confidence, I'm talking like true, deep, grounded confidence, they understand and accept themselves. They have done the work in on it, and they're not afraid to, like you said, they're not afraid to show their true emotions in the moment. If they need to cry, they'll cry. If they need to laugh, they'll laugh. If they need to defend their value system, they do it with no shadow of doubt, no fear of, well, what if this person doesn't like me, because they've learnt to love and accept themselves. I'm curious, man, like how much of that flows through a lot of the work you've done on yourself and you've done with others?
Oh, dude, you're 100% accurate. Not only when you fully love yourself, not only are you accepting of your truth and your mistakes, accepting who you are in the moment, you actually accept other people's mistakes as well.
Yeah.
And a good example would be someone accusing you of something. And the difference would be someone would say, no, I'm not. Or the other person would say, am I? Because they've got a curious nature, they've got an open heart, and they're just checking in. How is that? Rather than no, I'm not.
Yeah.
And the no, I'm not is actually a trigger. You're not interested in what the other person's saying. You're not engaging. You're not curious and understanding why they think a certain way. So straight away, it's a trigger. If you're pushing back, the trigger is the doorway to knowing thyself.
Yeah.
It's actually not the person.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what the person said. They can call you whatever they want.
Yes.
But if you are triggered, it is you.
Yeah.
That's you. Hi, that's me.
Yeah.
Hello, Dino. I'm like, oh, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Now, what am I going to do about it? Rather than going, how dare you to call me that? That's so wrong. So in really doing the work and doing, what I would say, a deliberate, intentional daily practice of really connecting with your heart, really going into a deep, what I would say, a state, one that you almost can come down to what they call a place where they call it the unmanifest. It's before thought. And in these realms, your body has an opportunity to undo a lot of the stress, get rid of it all. It all just comes out. And then after that, you know, into your day, you start to integrate presence, patience, understanding. You know, you have less triggers.
Yeah.
You know, the patience that we talked about earlier. Then when a desire comes up, you have this desire. Oh, you can trust in that and move towards it. There's less doubt. So if you want certainty, if there's such thing as certainty, this is the path.
Yeah.
It's not the logical thinking.
Yes.
It's not the book.
Yes.
It's not the movie. And yeah, it's so important that what I would encourage men, women, and the younger generation is the world that we are seeking, it's something to do with happiness, fulfillment, a state of like bliss.
Yeah.
It's not outside of us.
Yeah.
It's actually within us. And these are the sort of practices that I ask everyone to try and build into a lifestyle.
Yes. I love it. Because I agree with you, man. We think we're seeking the external, the things, the items, the money, whatever it is. But it's not until you stop and actually dig and go, but why do you want that? Why do you want that particular thing? And as you dig through, you realize it's a feeling we're in search of.
It's a feeling.
And a feeling comes
nailed
from
it.
inside.
Exactly.
And that's why, for me, I'm a very, you know me, man, I'm very logical, right? I have lived on that end of the spectrum that is logic, you know, have to have this, have to have that, chasing all those things.
In fairness, it's served you. It's served you well.
It's brought me to where I am today.
Yeah.
And through the journey, I've unpacked and uncovered to become aware of it's not the thing, it's the feeling underneath. And even down to, you know, an example here. There was a time where I was like, you know, Ironman triathlons. I need to do an Ironman triathlon. Now it goes back to, you know, my father wanted to do Ironman triathlons and he you know, pushed it on us as kids and we always had to do triathlons. But, you know, he was always talking, I'm going to do an Ironman triathlon one day. Anyway, through my journey, the opportunity arose. I went after it. I achieved it in 16 months, right? From no triathlons to, hey, I'm doing an Ironman triathlon. And there was this, I got to do it, you know, this is the thing. And I chased this thing and I remember crossing the line and my parents were there and everyone, you know, it was like a proud moment for those watching who watched me train for it and do it. But I kind of crossed the line. I was like,
what's next?
Yeah, but I was like, where's the thing?
You didn't even find the thing.
I didn't even know the thing.
At least most people would feel it and then it'd go, but you didn't even find the thing.
It was just like, it was so weird. And I wasn't even aware and awakened at the time, but I just remember, you know, we went back to the room after and we had some food and I was just like waiting for the thing. And I reflect on this occasionally because that's one of my markers to remind me, dude, nice. It's not the thing. It's the beauty was found in the challenge and the grit and the early mornings and
the work.
I don't want to do it, but I did it. And I lived in Bondi with a bunch of young guys. You know, they were partying every night and I lived out in this little side room that was connected to one of the mates' rooms. Bro, they would come in at 3:34 on a Thursday after they've been out partying. Benny, it's time to get up, man. You got to get out for your like. Thanks. It was like my own free alarm clock, and like the discipline that you know, in hindsight, that has led me to where the person I am today. But the discipline to not drink, not go out. I was in bed at 8 o'clock. These guys were ramping up, drinking, etc. To go through that. But it was like the process and the journey, and I wanted to swing it around on this. Because this has been in my reflections a lot lately, and I think it ties in with this. I think it's easy for us to say and to hear, It's not about the destination. It's not about the pinnacle. We must learn to fall in love with the process. And it's almost like what Brené Brown said once, which was, how do you find the extraordinary in the ordinary? And all the practices, like you've mentioned here, I include journaling in that as well, journaling, meditation.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. When I say reflection, that's what I mean, journaling.
Yeah, they really bring me to a consistent reminder. And I get lost, like don't get me wrong, like I'm not thinking this all day, every day, but the consistency of doing it, like you said, where you do it, I do it in the morning and I have my habit stack and it's part of that, and then it starts integrating into my day, is to really let go of the pinnacle is where it's found. There's enough evidence in all our lives to realize like that is not where it is. It's to fall in, like you said, it's to fall in love with the process. It's to find the extraordinary in the ordinary. It's in these moments. It's in this moment we share here right now. And I think just practicing and just consistently over and over and over. And I think that dials into intuition. That is what intuition is asking of us.
Yeah.
Yet we want to conveniently push it away because the meditation, the journaling, it's not hard. It's just, I can get a much faster dopamine hit right now if I just jump in and look at email, if I just jump in and look at Instagram, if I just jump in and get all my things, my to-dos done. I have a much higher sense of achievement and accomplishment in those micro moments than the actual longer term game, which is what we're playing, which is having it inside of us, regardless of the challenge that hits, regardless of the things that don't work for us, we're still able to go, hey, I feel connected, loved, confident, and clear on the person I am and where I'm going.
Yeah, that's beautiful, brother. And I'd like to add to that. What you're highlighting there is, when we, as people, what we're trying to do, what most people are trying to do is work on the outside world, i.e. productivity lists, to do chase item A, chase item B, to give you a feeling of something. But this is achievable without going through the process of the productivity hack to chase that feeling. Because the feeling is not in the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex it's almost like it's an incredible piece of machinery. It's the most investigated and looked into piece of machinery. Our brain is amazing. And the prefrontal cortex hijacked us, right? Planning, future plan. Like we never had this ability. And that's why Homo sapiens we rule this planet because of our prefrontal cortex. And what you're suggesting there is an intentional way of trying to de-excite the prefrontal cortex and get into your middle brain. I think they call it primordial brain. And that's where the feeling center is. Right? Imagine having that on dial without working out on the outside, without getting the Lamborghini and being able to control that side of it. That's from de-exciting your prefrontal cortex through meditation. It's de-exciting. The reason why we're able to connect the way we do, dude, is because that's what we do. We actually de-excite our prefrontal. Yeah. We get into a connection, like we get into this bubble, and it's from the heart. It's our intuition. I see you whole, you see me whole, and we're safe, right? We're vulnerable, and we're open, and that's what happens. So all this flurry of chemicals run out, and we have this moment called fulfillment. It's like, how good is this? Who needs the Lamborghini? Yeah. Just a conversation across the table. Yeah. This is what you touched on there is so important because it highlights it highlights the reason why we should integrate a practice of de-exciting ourselves, our mind, our prefrontal cortex, not scroll. Yeah. Do that less often, right? Yes, it's okay to do it every now and then, 1 hour, half an hour a day. But only after you have a real solid lifestyle practice of de-exciting the mind and getting to a deeper sense of who you are, a deeper sense of connection, and not only like, people, but like every moment, like what you said, like Brene said, it's actually a thing.
Yeah.
How do you find the extraordinary in the ordinary? I felt this stuff. It's not a cheap quote. It's real. Brene Brown nailed that quote. It's so true. And Eastern philosophy says that these type of practices are really the way to really find these moments.
Yes. I love what you said there, man. De-excite the mind. I'm an excitement addict. I have worked and I continue to work on de-exciting the mind. Excitement for it's the adrenaline fueled life that I have continued to chase. That's why I load up on caffeine before training. It's why I get on a mountain bike and jump off cliffs. It's why I chase these areas of my life for this excitement. However, the more wisdom I bring into my world and understanding of myself, the more I realize, exactly like you said, there are the beautiful moments without the excitement, those calm moments. And it's a funny thing, man, because I think a lot of guys kind of are afraid of that stillness feeling, the calm feeling.
If I can speak to, just before you go on there, I want to speak to a little bit on the excitement. I think it's really important that there's a difference between like a state of ecstasy where what you're talking is chasing the adrenaline stuff. But the problem is the body, the brain can't maintain that level.
Yes.
So what happens is a drop off the cliff. So there's the other side of that. And so what you're doing, you're living in a life of highs and lows.
Yes.
And what these daily practices help us do is really bring the highs and lows closer together.
Yes.
But also elevate your baseline.
Right.
Which is a very important distinction. So that's why I call it bliss, not ecstatic, not an ecstasy state, not an excitement state. And that's why we in Vedic terminology, they call it de-excite, because it is actually all about de-exciting. Because it's so easy to go bungee jumping and chase the adrenaline, which is fun, focus, you find flow. There's all sort of chemicals. We're not saying remove it. Yeah. We're not saying. What we're saying is don't use it as you're chasing fulfillment through these practices. Yeah.
Because that's what happens, right? Like I think through the years, I'll put holidays there. Like everyone's living for the holiday. Oh man, I need holidays booked into my calendar so I've got something to work towards. Like that's the statement. And I always, sort of squirm at that. I'm like, oh, really? Like why are we working towards that? Why aren't we working towards what we're talking about here, which is it can be found in the moment. It can be found sitting in traffic on your drive home.
Exactly.
It can be found standing, waiting in queue to get a coffee.
This is no joke.
I agree, dude.
This is no joke. Everyone that's listening, this is no joke.
I think the more I remove, and I've talked about this on a podcast before around like living in the void, because I think people go, why would you do that to yourself? Are you crazy? What, like on a recent last year when we went to Fiji as a family, like a family holiday, and I found it challenging because I challenged myself there to remove distractions, to go, why can't I find the beauty in just literally standing on a beach looking out to sea? Why does it have to be filled with alcohol? Everyone's on a mobile phone, people watching YouTube, all the adults are sitting around the pool having the after. And that's cool. Like I'm not judging any of that. That's because part of me was great. Like
you were judging it.
I want that. Well, because I wanted it. I was jealous. So the part of me is like the jealous guy is like, oh man, and However, I challenge. I'm like, I know deep down, intuition tells me I don't need that. Intuition tells me that's not where I find the bliss. It will give me the instant gratification, but it's not going to give me the long-term gratification. Exactly. And when I came off that vacation.
It's called a come down.
Yeah, when I came off the vacation and came back, I just carried around the bliss like you talked about. And it lasted for days, potentially weeks.
You're not trying to be there.
You're not trying to grab the next thing. And I think that is part of the work, man. It's like, it's letting go of, it's reminding yourself that, hey, I have addictive points where I'm like trying to chase the dopamine, want, the instantaneous shot, the hit. And I do believe at the same time, I have a choice in each moment. I can have the instant gratification. You can have it right now, man. You can jump in and look at the thing and do the piece that you want, and you can have it. And you can have it in that moment. However, it's not going to last very long, and it's short-lived. Or you can push through this. You can let it go. You can deal with a little bit of resistance, and it will pass. And the longer term gratification, it will be 10x more than the instant. And I just keep coming back to that over and over. And I have noticed a shift in my life and the way I feel especially over the last 5 years in doing this. Because as soon as I catch it, I remind myself, instant or long term? Instant, go for long term, Ben.
Nice.
Sometimes when the capacity is low, it's hard. Like the instantaneous will grab it, eating the donut.
You got to enjoy, man.
You got to enjoy it.
And I don't want to demonize logical thinking either. Logical thinking is important. It's important to play the game of capitalism and finance and building a business. Like, I don't want to demonize this.
Yeah.
But know the game you're playing in different environments, but just building a meditative type practice, a reflective type practice, a heartfelt practice.
Yeah.
What are you doing to counterbalance?
Yes.
We didn't have all this. Like we talked about it when the last time we went for a run. You walk into a city and it's just buzzing.
It is wild. You take the kids. Like, we went to get Bodhi some new swimwear on the way, and like, you just shopping malls now.
Oh, it's just,
because I'm like, why are the kids all edgy? And Angie's like, Dad, look at the stimulation. And I'm like, yeah, but we're just in a shopping. And they're like, and then you stop and you become present and you go, holy moly!
And like, the people as well. It's all buzzing.
Dude, it's just on.
Yeah.
And then just, we have unlimited choice now. Hey, I want to listen to this particular song at this time frame. You can get there within a couple of pushes, buttons.
And it'll remind you too.
Yeah. Any movie you've ever wanted. Like, that's why I feel excited, and at the same time, I feel it's a challenge for the younger generation, man, because it's just fully on demand. Like, the amount of work required for the generation to get to the void is 100 times what we have to. And then I remember speaking with my father recently, and he's like, man, I don't envy raising kids in this environment. And like, he was just thinking, it's generational, right? Like, I was the generation that had, TV, we had 4 stations, we had color TV, we had radios, we had headphones, we had Discman. Like my father. Like,
did you ever remote control on your TV?
No.
You had to get up and change it.
Yeah. So is the restrictive TV. Whereas, and then his generation, they had a radio and a black and white TV if they were lucky. And then the generation before that, it was a radio. And before that, it was like nothing. And then, so that's why I say there's beauty in it, but there's also, with that comes challenge. And now it's just on.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. Like, we want to enjoy what we've got. There's fruits to be had here. Yes. Don't get me wrong. It's nice to live in a more comfortable environment. Turn your air conditioner on. I had my air conditioner on all night. I mean, that's so convenient.
Yeah.
And I was actually, that's another thing we've missed on this, but a grateful practice. So
yes,
I have to shout out to my daughter Mia. She started this practice, and I got her a gratitude journal, and she's been doing this for a few years now. Every morning, before she leaves her bed, she picks up her diary and she writes 3 things that she's grateful for.
Yes,
and she's been carrying on even with all this difficult distraction. And the trick is, the hack is try and do everything you can before you touch the phone.
Yeah, yeah,
that's it. Full stop.
Yes.
Do as much as you can, all the good stuff. get out in nature, swim, exercise, journaling, all this stuff before you open up that phone, before you check your first email.
So true. Brother, always love our conversations.
Thank you, dude.
Looking forward to more.
Was that 5 minutes?
Yeah, it was 7 minutes.
That's what I love about with you, dude. Just time flies. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for letting me. I think what I want to say to you, Brother Ben, is there could have been so many variations of me. And I want to say thank you for contributing to being a part of my life where I feel like I am my best self. And you contributed to that.
Thanks.
And I don't say that enough. And you mean the world to me. And so thank you. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for being part of my life. And thank you for contributing and showing me the light.
Thanks, brother. I feel exactly the same, man. Very grateful. And I love coming full circle back here again. We want to do this regularly, right? Get on here
once
and have
a
some
month,
deep
twice a month,
conversations.
have a conversation. That'd be good. Yeah.
You can connect with Dino and myself, if you want to jump in and connect with us more, we're both in the academy. That's part of the work. Right? Shout out to all the brothers in the academy.
Next time we need to talk about the academy. I'm loving it in there. It's so good. The men in there are so great. They're supportive. Everyone's like the recommendations, the insights, the accountability. And I'm like, oh, Mark's in front of me. I'm day 7. I'm just like, I need to get first place again. I was like, oh, what do I need to do? Who do I need to chat to? I was like, So, I even with my, I lead with the heart. I'm also competitive. So being in the men's group is fun. It's a tribe of men really coming together and exposing themselves, really wanting to be their best self. So I'm hoping I can contribute.
Bro, you're crushing it in there. Loving it. So how can we follow you, man?
I've started a new business. Rather than give you my my personal handle, I've started a new business in just in the slow life. Being calm.
Yeah.
Just calm.
Yeah.
If calm, when I say that word calm and you go, oh, I want some of that.
Yeah.
Well, then, look up the Instagram handle We Evolve, but replace the last letter E with a number 3. So the hashtag handle is We Evolve. Replace the last letter E with a number 3.
Love it.
And I'm just always posting stuff. We're just starting. We're going to officially open probably in a few months' time, but we're just getting started, and we'll do retreats and stuff like that. But just looking for your inner calm. Look me up.
Do we all get to be as good looking as you, mate? Is that part of the pitch?
Well, I did a regression recently, and I was told I've had about 5 lifetimes, and I was a priest in one of those. So apparently I did some good work. And I was blessed with some good looks this lifetime. So there you go. I did the work to get here, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Love you, brother. Good to connect, man.
Love you too, man.
Till next week, gents. Stay strong.
Thank you.